Paul.
I am right here, but sometimes not easy to see because Mr. Chair, you and I know that in Africa we are not very used to making speeches. We are used to having conversations. So as you can see, this is a very difficult moment for me when I was told I've got to limit it to 1 minute, 55 seconds. I'll try and see if I can do that for today. And in order to conform with the UN, let me say that I associate myself with the statements of Brazil, the statements of Ajarat, Larry, and Rodrigo. And now my own statements. I hope I'm making progress. The title of my presentation is Development is Freedom. And I just want to make a couple of statements in regard to that. And I would ask Mr. Co-Chair, that you allow me to speak on my aspirations, disappointment, not necessarily as a civil society or these groups, major or minor, whatever you want to call them, but as a citizen of Africa, as a citizen of Kenya, and as a citizen of East Africa. I think that we have always believed in the United Nations. We believe in its ideals. We believe in its aspirations. And sometimes we believe in its ambition, as you have done over the last 1.5 years. And we always have. But today I've got a few questions that I'd want to pose with you because there are a few worrying trends that seems to be emerging at this 11th hour. And I think that we may need some bit of soul searching as we reflect on them. Some of these statements have already been said by other speakers, but as a Christian, I always say that when you hear something more than once, it's because God wanted you to reflect on them more deeply. The very first one of them is that we really believe that participation, inclusiveness, and the cardinal rule that the people, not the politicians, are the reason that we're here. Because if indeed we do, and if we agree indeed that development is about freedom, then that freedom begins by allowing our citizens to be on the forefront seat of development. It's a demand of the social contracts that we have with them. The indicator process, more than any other process, is in fact the defining moment of that ambition. We are therefore asking the member states, and I would disagree, Mr. Co-Chair, with your statement that you can only convey your statement because you do have a vote as a member state, that you do ask the Commission to reconsider their decision to lock our citizens and to lock out civil society out of this critical stage of the process. We have worked together for so long. We have done too much together, and it is too sad that at this 11th hour we now want to close the door. Secondly, Mr. Co-Chair and colleagues, we just want to mention the fact that indeed, if we believe that peace, well-being, good governance, and all the issues that are at the heart of citizenship freedom, and the United Nations should be treated as secondary simply because we cannot measure them. I'm saying this because the team that is working on the indicators was telling us, and the chair was speaking over the on the first day of the session, that we need to lower our ambition because some of the targets do not meet some scientific and technical standards for strong indicators. I would want to reiterate that development is political and that science is only a way to evaluate it, not to inform it. And therefore, we are asking that that the team becomes more innovative, throw away the box, not even think about or outside the box, be more daring in utilizing technology to measure targets that are perceived as unmeasurable. Because human rights, peaceful societies, good governance, and democratic ideals are too dear to us to live out because of their perceived technical difficulties. They are about lives, about dignity, about our collective desire to be free and move our nation forward. Yet there are, in fact, as mentioned by Larry, who just spoke a short while ago, there are, in fact, very many creative and innovative bottom-up indicators that are already used to measure some of the things that the Commission is trying to tell us cannot be measured. And maybe what we are asking is that we interact much more with the community. There's a lot of work going on in South Sudan, in Cambodia, in Argentina, in Kenya, that maybe consultations with that team may help a lot in helping us know how to measure some of the so-called difficult indicators. We need to ask the Statistical Commission to be more creative and more open-minded and to be much more focused on the lives we want to change rather than the science through which those lives are to be measured. More importantly, we are asking that we consult with the communities we represent. We are aware of the burden of data collection as raised by some member states on Monday. And there is no way that this is more acute than in the places where my organization works, which is in conflict-affected countries. But that's why we have talked about capacity building, and that's why we are encouraging us to use citizens, consult them more, And hopefully that way we will deal with the burden of data collection.
I need you to...
Finally, allow me to address the issue of coherence and synergy. We must ensure that the indicators developed support the ability of citizens to hold their governments to account and achieve coherence throughout other processes such as the FFD. Putting great goals and targets with no clarity on the means of the implementation is the surest path to failure. As citizens, our concern is not how ambitious we are, but on how committed we are to realizing those ambitions. Some of the indicators that have been proposed under Goal 8, 9, 16, and 17 have in fact weakened the targets that we have worked for so long. I just want to conclude by telling all of us seated here that 2030 is actually not very far. Let us not carry out an exercise that will weaken what we have worked on for so long, because sooner or later we will be responsible for telling our children and our grandchildren what we did when we had the space in the United Nations to make the change that we did. And actually we do have that opportunity right now. As citizens, we are ready to support you all the way. Be ambitious, be innovative, be transformative, but most importantly, be human. We have done it before, and we can do it at this 11th hour. Thank you.